Leadership has to take the hits. Leadership takes the hit. Leadership pays the cost. I remember that song, Paid the Cost to Be the Boss. Leadership takes the hits. Leadership makes the sacrifices. Leadership makes the investment, not knowing whether it's going to be beneficial or not. Their heartstrings are like hardwired, like carbon fiber, where there's fear present, there's unknown present. The unknown is present, but it's not internalized as fear. It doesn't translate that way in the biochemistry of a leader. A leader's physiology does not interpret the unknown as fear or anxiety. That's what I want you to understand. The unknown is exciting to a leader. It brings life to the hunt. It makes your hair stand up on the back of your neck. It makes your eyes, your pupils dilate, and your veins constrict, and your heart beat faster. There's that fight or flight response of electricity, but never does a leader take flight. Leadership doesn't take a flight. Leadership flies all across the world, but leadership does not take flight. Leadership fights unto the end, win, lose, or draw. And real leadership never loses. Because what people internalize or characterize to be a loss, leadership correctly interprets as a lesson, as learning. Real leadership never loses. Real leadership only learns how to become better. So I can remember reading Jeet Kune Do, one of Bruce Lee's books, the only real book that Bruce Lee penned on his art that he brought into existence throughout his main body of work was called Jeet Kune Do. And his wife and everybody else was talking about a fight that he had because people used to come and challenge him on set. He'd be shooting a movie, The Green Hornet or, Chinese Connection, and he'd have to stop because there'd be somebody outside that traveled from China to fight him. And he'd have to stop and, say he was sorry, but he'd have to take 15 minutes or whatever the case may be to go fight this guy, because they didn't want him to teach the Kowloon. They didn't want him to teach the foreigner martial arts. So he'd have to fight for his right to be independent. And that's what he did. So during one fight, he really had to fight hard. It was a hard fight for Bruce Lee. And his wife talks about it. A couple other people talk about it because he fought hard. And being the leader, the master that Bruce Lee is, he didn't think that he should have had to fight that hard. But he did. But he didn't lose. He won. But in his heart, even having to fight for that long was a loss. But it was a learning experience. And he says in the book that he learned more from that fight than he did all of his years of fighting. He took it as a loss because it took so long. It wasn't easy for him. But leadership isn't going to be easy, guys. That's what I want you to kind of get from this story. Leadership is not going to be easy. You're going to take what others would consider to be a loss, and even you yourself may consider or internalize to be a loss. I want you to get out of that thinking. I want you to look for the loss. I want you to look for the potentially defeating, because that's what's going to make you. That's what's going to create you. That's what's going to recreate you or transform you. Because there is no such thing as a loss in leadership. There is only learning. There is no such thing as defeat. There is only experience. So you can decide right now, and the way you move will be based on your decision. Do you want your leadership to be short-term or long-term? If you want it to be short-term, Only look for the gains. Only fight the small fights that you know you're gonna win. You're gonna win. You're gonna win. If you want to build character and integrity, if you want your leadership to last, if you want your leadership to be long, if you want to have longevity in leadership, look for the hard fights. Look for that which is going to challenge you to the core. Look for that which is potentially going to defeat you, because that's where greatness is.